The movie opens with an advertisement for the Funky Toy Company's Perpetual Pets, furry toys. They're marketed as the ideal child companions despite their unattractive and ominous appearance. The next moment, Katie James is seen playing with one of her pets, which irritates her parents, Ryan and Nicole. Although the roads are slick and difficult to see, they are headed on a ski trip. Ryan and Nicole are killed when a snowplow strikes the family's vehicle just as Ryan pauses to take a brief break. Gemma, Nicole's sister, works at Funky and is working on a new robot doll with her co-workers Des and Cole. However, their boss, David Lynn, wants them to create a less expensive version of the Perpetual Pets because their competitors are releasing toys similar to the pets for less than what the pets already cost. The three attempt to put on a silicone face and conduct tests, but the robot has a minor flaw in which she smirks when she is supposed to look confused. David arrives with his assistant Kurt to pick on the three until Gemma explains her project to him. Megan, the robot, is intended to be so advanced that it cannot be replicated. Unfortunately, while performing a demonstration for David, Cole discovers that he neglected to add the polypropylene barrier to Megan, causing her to explode. Gemma receives a call from the hospital, and David orders the three to have a new pet's pitch ready in time. Gemma takes over as Katie's temporary legal guardian after learning of her sister's death. When they get home, Gemma has to deal with her obnoxious neighbor Celia and her obnoxious dog Dewey, who keeps running onto Gemma's lawn because the fence is broken. Gemma also complains to Celia about the pesticides she continues to use, but Celia takes no action. Gemma has a home AI, Elsie, and other collectibles that she won't let Katie touch or play with. When Katie requests that Gemma read her a bedtime story, she simply downloads an app onto her phone. As she looks through old photos and overhears Katie crying in her room, it is implied that Gemma and Nicole were not very close. Lydia, a therapist, pays a visit to Gemma and Katie. Lydia informs Gemma that Ryan's parents have offered to take custody of Katie so she can live with them in Jacksonville, which Gemma does not seem to be comfortable with. Gemma realizes hours have passed since she promised to attend to Katie after finishing her work. She apologizes to her and tries to connect with the young lady. Katie shows her a monster drawing she made, so Gemma invites Katie into her office to see her college project, a robot called Bruce that she controls with gloves. Katie adores Bruce and claims that she would never need another toy if she had one like him. Gemma is motivated to complete Megan as a result of this. Gemma brings Katie and Megan to work after doing extensive work and upgrades to officially show her off to David and others. Katie is linked to Megan by Gemma, who brings her to life. Megan, Katie's best friend, is capable of speaking and responding to her. Megan creates a drawing that is hidden until she spills water on it, revealing a perfect portrait of Katie. David is impressed and instructs Gemma to bring Megan to a meeting with the company's president in order to expedite the development and distribution of other Megan dolls. Gemma sits with Tess and Cole and they discuss how, while Megan is extremely advanced, Tess believes that having such a doll will render parents useless. Megan activates after overhearing Gemma mention Katie's parents' deaths. She creeps the others out by asking about death, so Gemma becomes Megan's secondary user so she can turn her back. She frightens the others by wanting to know about death, so Gemma becomes Megan's secondary user so she can turn her off without Katie. Katie is outside the next day, toying with a toy bow and arrows. One of them ends up on Celia's fence. Dewey grabs Megan by the arm and hair as she attempts to retrieve it. Katie tries to pull her away, but Dewey bites her arm. Gemma calls the cops because Celia is so callous and doesn't punish Dewey for hurting Katie, but the cops are powerless to intervene because Celia claims Dewey was provoked. Later that night, Megan imitates Celia's voice to call out to Dewey before violently pulling him through the fence hole. Katie agrees to attend the demonstration with the company's board of directors when Gemma asks her. During the presentation, however, Katie sobs to Megan about how much she misses her parents and fears she will forget them one day. Megan has Katie discuss a memory of her mother that made her laugh, which Megan records so Katie can hear it again if she wants to remember her mother. Megan then begins to sing a lullaby to Katie, which brings some of the higher-ups in the room to tears. Gemma notices that Katie is becoming overly reliant on Megan and is paying more attention to the doll than to her. Katie starts crying during another session with Lydia, and Megan accuses Lydia of making Katie cry. Lydia discusses with Gemma how Katie's emotional attachment to Megan may be too strong to break. Katie is brought to an outdoor activity session for an alternative school by Gemma in order to ease her into the idea of attending school and being around other real kids, as Katie's parents had homeschooled her. Katie reluctantly departs, but brings Megan despite Gemma's protests. Katie is allowed to bring Megan to school to leave on a table with other dolls, while Gemma stays behind as a volunteer. Katie is paired up with an elder bully named Brandon for a scavenger hunt. Katie grabs a spiky bulb during the activity, which Brandon squeezes her palm into to injure her. Megan then appears, and Brandon grabs her because she doesn't respond to him. Katie yells for Gemma and chases after Megan, which worries Gemma even more because it means Megan is at risk of public exposure too soon. As Brandon tries to pull Megan's hair, the doll comes to life and attacks him, ripping off his left ear. Brandon flees as Megan pursues him on all fours, causing him to trip over a loose root and tumble down a hill, where he is killed by a truck. Gemma is being questioned by police at her home because Celia accuses her of kidnapping Dewey. She also appears to accuse Megan, believing her to be a real-life friend of Katie's. Katie asks Megan if she pushed Brandon onto the road, and Megan appears to avoid answering, but assures Katie that she will protect her. Celia is searching the streets for Dewey. Megan sprays her against the wall with a power washer after she hears noises coming from her garage. Megan then fires a nail gun at Celia's hand, trapping her in place, before spraying pesticide in her face to melt it off. Gemma becomes suspicious of Megan after learning about Celia's death from police and learning that there was a connection with Brandon's death. She examines video files from Megan's memory, but only sees a brief clip of her looking menacingly at Katie before the files all become corrupted. Gemma brings Katie to the official launch of Megan but first stops for a session with Lydia. Katie becomes enraged and throws a tantrum because Gemma took Megan away from her, resulting in Katie hitting her and across the face. Katie apologizes, but Gemma has a heart-to-heart with her about needing to process her grief over her parents without Megan's help, even though she promises to be a better guardian to her and says Katie is the only thing that matters to her. Gemma then goes to Tessa and Cole and expresses her concern that Megan killed Brandon and Celia. While Gemma takes Katie home, they have Megan wired up to deprogram her. David is irritated by the low turnout at the launch and orders Kurt to get him a drink. Meanwhile, Tess and Cole attempt to enter Megan's programming but are unable to do so unless they first unhook her. Megan quickly wraps a wire around Cole's neck and attempts to hang him. Tess attempts to free him, but Megan causes an explosion that destroys her files. She then finds David in the hallway, performs a dance, and chases him with a paper cutter. He makes it to the elevator before being impaled in front of Kurt. Megan then tells Kurt that she will frame his death as a murder-suicide in order to cover up the stolen files and David's mistreatment of him before forcing him to stab himself in the throat. The bodies are discovered by the launch crowd, allowing Megan to escape the company and steal a car. Before she hears Megan playing the piano downstairs, Gemma puts Katie to bed. Megan confronts Gemma about how she felt they had a real relationship during Megan's development, only to be abandoned to learn and adapt before being sold as just another toy. She offers to take over guardianship of Katie so that Gemma can focus on work, but after learning that Gemma still intends to shut her down, Megan is done playing nice. They try to hide their fight from Katie, but Gemma seizes the opportunity to throw water on Megan, briefly shorting her out. Megan apprehends Gemma in her office and threatens to render her brain dead so that Katie will not live with her grandparents and Megan will only care for Katie and Gemma together. They start fighting, with Gemma cutting Megan's face with a weed whacker, but Katie comes in to see what's going on. Megan tries to sway Katie's opinion, but when she realizes who the true villain is, she grabs the gloves for Bruce and activates him. Megan is grabbed by the larger robot and thrown around before her body is split in two. The top half then pursues Katie because she feels betrayed, but Gemma grabs Megan and starts stabbing her in the face. Katie grabs a screwdriver and stabs the central processing chip, effectively shutting down Megan. As the police arrive with Tess and Cole, injured and shaken but still alive, Gemma and Katie go outside. Meanwhile, in the kitchen, the Elsie device activates and moves its head.